Good. Have a good night, buddy. I'll see you tomorrow. Diamond. Should have played the corner pocket. That's what you do all day long. You play this fucking corner. Got the whole pocket. Watch this. The whole pocket. See? Same pocket over there, 2 rails. Got to use low inside. Pick your spot off this rail, probably about a ball's width out, and it'll reverse right back into that pocket. The inside angles will keep me short, probably 5 in the corner. Just got to make sure that you hit. The only thing you need to worry about, this. Make sure you hit this spot right. If you don't, you're not going to make this shot. There, not there. Shot that was. Alright, I'm gonna juice the ball, spin 1, 2, 3 rails and come down here, play the 8. And I could probably draw it and spin out. Actually, if I was gambling, I'd probably use like a stun shot, cheat the pocket here, but I'm hitting the ball pretty good, so the key is making sure I open up my hand on the backstroke and keep the arm loose. No tension in the arm. Press. I tensed up when I hit that shot. what I'm focusing on, actually what's happening right now why I'm shooting so well, I'm thinking that my timing is right. My hand is forward on the cue as it should, and it feels comfortable. As I was saying earlier in the evening, unfortunately it's normally taking me about 2 or 3 hours to kind of feel comfortable at the table, and because I'm really talking more about my hand than anything else. And then when I start thinking about that, trying to figure out, how to get this feeling that I'm having now to where it's like I'm feeling like, I'm having no problem holding the cue and I'm not second guessing it, which is why I'm shooting so well. Also, I'm triggering the ball consistently on just about every shot, which means I'm opening up the hand and I'm going through to a fist. So you might see that particularly here on my break shot. Actually hit those balls really good. I hit them a little off center, which is what caused the scratch. Generally, probably come back and you'd stop. And actually, I think if my cue was a little bit more level, it wouldn't have hopped as high, and it actually would have come long and hit about maybe a quarter of the diamond on my side of the side pocket and back out to the middle. So that's and really what that also would do is making a longer bridge, so you can get that tip speed with less effort. Because the break, really all the shots are really all about tip speed, and the fluidity and how you're hitting. If you watch the greats, they're making sure that they're bringing the ferrule back to their bridge on almost every single shot, because what that does is that's going to ensure that they don't have to hit the ball as hard to get the desired effect. Like I barely hit that ball. I hit it bad, but because I wanted to come off the rail, but because I brought the cue all the way back, it worked out. Let me hit that shot again and show you what I was talking about. Actually just trying to get down here and play the 2 inside. So, but because I actually put a little bit too much bottom spin on it, it spun straight back. So, just like that. And I actually went to a fist. I actually underhit a little bit. So, I'm going to go 3 rails back out the middle. We'll play the 3 in this side pocket. A little long, but again, it's not too bad because I can float, play the 4, my 5's wide open, the 6, and I'm pretty much out barring anything stupid happening. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and probably 10 is going to go down to the 6s. So here I'm just going to hit a little bit of high, maybe a touch of inside, not much. And what I was saying earlier to a buddy of mine, when I focus on aiming through the cue ball at the object ball, I'm using the object ball as my aim point on the cue, I'm more consistent, I'm a better shot maker. And again, that's one of those fundamentals that, unless it's ingrained into you, you're going to have to keep reminding yourself as you play. Actually, talking, I think I pretty much almost missed that ball. Here I'm going to aim high, just a touch of inside English on the ball. But I already know where I need to hit the cue ball. So really all I'm doing is lining up that with my object ball. And I know where I'm aiming the cue on the 7. I'm actually aiming my cue right at the number 7 itself. That shot actually straightened back up and came up pretty nicely. So I'm just going to hit a little bit of bottom, just to come down here, everything's wide open, give myself a good angle to come down for the 10. little bit of a big angle, but I should be okay. I'm actually going to use high inside and try to spin down just about this rail. I don't need to get perfect. As long as you got here, you know, if you're a good shot maker, you're going to win the game. So you don't need to go too crazy about, you know, getting too perfect. So just make sure all your points are covered and you're lined up right. That was a little short, but again, I'm still, you know, pretty decent to make the ball, so decent percentage. So pick up my aiming point, I see the line, visualize the mechanics that I'm looking for, and trust the stroke and fire it in. Just like that. I got lucky. I hit the point. I think if I didn't, I probably would have scratched. Now, one of the things I was saying earlier is there's a mechanic that have been incorporating into my stroke, and really when I'm in stroke, it happens pretty naturally. It's easier to do. It's not quite automatic yet. A lot of times I got to kind of think about this mechanic, and what it is, you know, if you play this video back slow and you watch the replay of my shots, you'll see that when my cue comes back to execute the shot, and it on the execution stroke, and it stops, when my arm starts to go forward, it actually goes forward, and the only way I could imagine it is, or could explain it is, most pool players, when they pull back, they go from 0 to 60 into the shot. If you watch, in this case particularly Shane, and other pros, they do this as well. And this is what makes them so freaking accurate. You know, when the shot's on the line and they got a thin cut down the rail or something like that, you know, they're probably 80% to make those shots. And the reason is because when they pull the cue back and that cue starts to go forward, it actually starts to go forward slowly, you know, so there's not that jab motion which causes your body to move and could cause you to miss the ball. So he pulls it back slowly, then goes in forward, and then accelerates into the ball. So, you know, the way I explain it is that instead of it being 0 to 60, he'll go pull back, go 0, 10, 20, 30, 60. You know, I mean, he actually accelerates into the shot. You know, between that and him timing his wrist on his hand on the shot, it's crazy. And that was all timing of my wrist, and you know, making sure that I'm snapping the wrist at the right time. So, I mean, I believe the cue landed in the middle of the table, but got kicked out. So the break was all right, and I don't know if I had to time that, I'd probably say that was maybe a 21 mile an hour, 20 miles an hour, somewhere around there. That break I was doing, I was trying to model Shane's break. He breaks from there to, if he's breaking from that side of the table, he's playing the second ball, particularly if he has a magic rack, he's playing the second ball into the side pocket. He's playing the one ball to come back where the 9 is. He doesn't want the one ball to fall. He's trying to not make the one ball because he needs to have at least one predictable ball off the break so that he can continue his run when he makes the ball. Because if that one ball goes in, he's basically taking a guess at the 2 being wide open for him to have a shot. So he's doing that, and then you got your corner balls. Generally, they'll go 4 rails to the respective corners. So that's what he's doing. So no matter what side he's breaking on, just know he's aiming to make the center ball, the second ball behind the 1 into that side pocket, whatever side he's on. This I'm going to aim. I'm actually going to aim a little bit wide because I've got to hit it with a little inside inch on the ball on the inside. I'm actually, because of the 2 ball shuts off probably about 3/4 of the pocket, but it's no problem because I've got to aim. That's my aim point anyway. So I mean, really, it's like the 2 ball's not even there. But the reason I need inside inch on the ball, you know, and actually really I don't, but it'll prevent me from coming down here and getting in trouble. So the little inside inch on the ball will straighten it right back off the rail for me to play the 2 in the same pocket. My spot, points. See, I even cheated it a little bit, you know, but that's kind of what you have to do so that I can straighten it back up. So this is now pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to play the 2, stop it so I'm not straight in on the 3, but really I'm in the 4s hanging, so even if I was to hit it bad and get straight in, I'd still be okay. My concern though is I got to make sure I get good on the 4 because the 8 ball is so close. It's kind of an unpredictable pattern on the cue ball. Generally, I would just play the 4 and spin out and play the 5 and this and that. So I'll probably have to end up getting into this angle here with inside English and kind of use the 8 ball. If I think I can use inside to spin and keep from hitting the 8, I will. But if I come too long, maybe I can use the 8. But again, if you're going to bump balls, you need to know where they're going to go. So if I'm over here, if I say, okay, well, I want to use the 8 to try to spin around, look at where the 8 ball is going to go. It's going towards my 5. So unless you absolutely have to, you never want to collide into balls unless you know exactly what they're going to do after contact. So I'm just going to hit a little stop shot. Again, ferrule, make sure it comes to your bridge. And if you notice, I'm going through real slow and accelerating into the ball. So let me look over here to see if I can. Oh yeah, I'll be all right. Yeah, if I can get on this angle, I'll be fine. Because I can cheat the pocket here and use inside English to spin out, spin down. Even if I got there, I'm still good to make the 5. So I'm going to use high English, high inside English to spin down and just barely come off the 3rd rail here. Perfect. Again, I'm going to cheat this pocket here with probably straight inside English on the ball and try to spin towards the side pocket so I have a clean shot at the 5. See what I mean about hitting the balls? You know, I got lucky and I didn't want to hit that 8 ball. If I hit it a little harder, there's a chance I would have been snooker, or I would have had the pocket blocked and not been able to get out, or at least hoped to have had a combination. So again, if you're ever going into balls, got to make sure you know where they're going, because that's the one thing that will stop you from being able to get out. Here I'm just going to draw it back a touch. If I thought I can get over to the rail, I would. I can, but it looks like if I try to go to the rail, it's going to put me into 10, which is what I don't want to do. So here I'll just sacrifice a little bit of a harder shot on the 6. And actually really not. I'm just going to pull it back just a little bit, maybe towards the break spot, and then try to play the 6 ball down here into this corner pocket while I'm standing over my right shoulder. Hit it bad. I let up on the shoulder. So I'm still all right. I still got a good look at it. You know, again, these are the shots that. What happens when something like this happens? You know, here's what happens. When you're running a rack, you're confident, you're confident, you're confident, you're confident. Something like this happens, your confidence dips. Now, if I had a player, an inexperienced player that just started playing tournaments and things like this, something like this would cause, if they were confident and going into the shot, they're probably, I'll be generous, I'll say 80% to make this shot. But if they just realize, oh shoot, I underhit the 5 ball to get on the 6, that confidence goes from 80 to probably around 50 to 55%. So pretty much it's a coin flip whether or not they're going to make it. They'd probably end up hanging it. Now you know you'll be able to really start to gauge the caliber of the player if they can have something like that happen to them, and then they can recompose themselves and fire this 6 ball down table and come across to play the 7 inside. Then you know that you've got somebody that has good nerves, a good ability to focus, and a good ability to bear down and make the shots when he needs to. Hit it too good. Ooh, all right. Well, hit it too good. Well, because the 9 ball is down there, I mean, the original thought is to try to go forward, but I don't think, I kind of see myself going into the 9 ball if I do that. Yeah, maybe I won't, but still, with me being on a rail like this, it's a good possibility. So what I'm going to do, I'm off the rail enough by about 3/4 of a ball, so I'm actually going to try to bear down, focus on the mechanics, focus on the smooth drawback and follow through, and I'm going to put the 7 in the corner, and I'm going to draw it back down table and play my 8 in the corner pocket. And actually, on something like this, if you weren't comfortable on hitting a shot like that and the draw because you're doing too much, another fundamental that I teach and that I try to follow myself, especially if I'm in tournaments and I'm in one of the final matches and what have you, don't sacrifice the shot to get perfect shape, right? Now, I could play the 7. If the cue ball was over here, I'd probably play the 7, and float the cue ball there and just take the harder shot in the 8. The 8 ball's off the rail enough to where you're still going to be able to cut it, and the 9 ball's right in the corner, at the corner pocket, so you don't really need to do anything too crazy or too elaborate on the 8 to get a shot on the 9. So, actually, that's what I'll do. I'll show you, I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Shit, I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of straight in. I mean, I'm going towards the 9 ball, so I'll draw the cue ball back and play the 8 in this pocket here. Woo-wee. I had it good. I didn't really trigger the ball. I was worried about that. But again, I hit it good. I mean, it just fortunately didn't go. If I had to put a reason to my missing that ball, maybe I pulled it back a little bit too quick. I didn't pause, like just brief pause at the end before I followed through smoothly. But, and again, considering what I had, I think I hit the ball good. So. Well, I mean, if I would play short side, I would, but let me see. I think I got myself coming right into the 8 ball, going 3 rails. Actually, I don't. No, because I can cheat the pocket here. So, okay, I'm going to go 3 rails down here to play my 8 corner pocket. I'm using just a touch of right English on the ball, not much. Enough just to kind of get the ball going, because if I use too much right, I'm going to hit it wrong on the 3rd rail and have a chance of bumping into the 8 and not having a shot. So. Hit it long. Hit it long. And I got lucky, but I hit it long. Shit. Look at that. Frozen to the 8 ball. That's fine. Not a shot, it's pretty much straight in. So on this, when you're frozen, I'm lined up, actually right out the pocket, so you don't really need to do too much. I have probably a half a pocket of play, but not really much more than that. So on something like this, I'm just going to hit bottom, shit, I don't know. Yeah, something like this, just hit it towards the pocket, and it should go straight in. If I hit it hard enough. Yeah. And actually, I shouldn't have done that. I should have just shot straight at it, because it was lined up straight into the pocket. So it should be lined up. Yeah, lined up right there. So and really, what I was going to do is I should have just done this. I mean, it was there. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to do anything too crazy. Like I said, no matter what, because the 9 ball is wide open, I mean, it's like and I know that. So those are those mind lapses that you'll have once in a while. Just because I'm left-handed. Draw the cue ball back, play the 10 in the corner pocket. I didn't snap my wrist. It was loose, but I didn't snap it like I needed to, which is probably a good thing because I might have scratched. Again, don't sacrifice perfect shape for the sake of either the shot or possibly the scratch. Because, again, if you're good enough and your percentage of making most shots on the table are in the upper 80%, then you'll be just fine. One more rack. Now, when I was studying the break, actually I did this first with the U.S. Bar Table Championships, Shane's 9-ball break in 2013 when he was playing Dennis Ricolo in the finals. You know, the way they run the format out there is, and this is out in Reno. Actually, I hit that ball bad. It was a good thing I didn't run it off the table. Cue ball hopped and went straight into the rail, so I kind of got lucky there. Generally, like I said, you just want it to come back and stop. So the U.S. Bar Table is up in Reno, and they run the tournament with alternate break with the Magic Rack. So I realized that if I wanted to have any shot of doing any kind of damage out there, I need to capitalize when it's my inning at the table. When I'm breaking, I need to make sure that I capitalize, because if I don't, I have no shot at all. Now, on record, I was shooting pretty well. I was breaking them perfect. I mean, I was breaking them as good as anybody could break them. If you watch the final match between Shane Van Boning and Dennis Ricolo in the 2013, if you focus on Shane's break, you'll notice that he's breaking, and actually I have the break speed app on my phone, and because I wanted to model Shane's break, because he was pretty much breaking them just about better than anybody else there, I was like, oh, let me put this on the computer and use the break app and put the cue ball on the spot on the application, and I recorded the stream, actually in this case the video on YouTube, and actually was able to conclude that when he was breaking them the way he needed to, was breaking right at 8 miles an hour, or just a touch over, maybe 8.2 and whatever. So what I did was talking. I came to the pool hall, and my whole concern for a week straight was making sure that my break was 8 miles an hour, and he wasn't putting any English on the ball. He wasn't trying to spin it. He wasn't doing anything. If you watch the break in slow motion, he's just making sure he hits that one ball square. Maybe he's using a touch of bottom, but I don't think he is. I think the head ball is coming back and kicking the one to the middle of the table. Let me get these balls off. That's the way to hit that shot. So pretty much the entire time for the 9-ball side of the tournament, cue ball was coming right at the break line of the bar box. I'm sorry, the one ball was coming to the break line of the bar box. Cue ball's in the dead center of the table. And that was probably getting out 50% of the time. But again, when you're playing players of that caliber, if you're not getting out, if you're not in the high 80s or 90s of getting out on your break, you got no shot. So I finished 1 out of the money in the 9-ball. I mean, I played all right in the 9-ball. I hit some really, really good shots. So here I'm gonna, I mean, I can try to draw it down here and come out and play my 6, but again, I don't want to take a chance of scratching. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to just pull it here off this rail and out. Now the reason I feel comfortable doing that is because the 6 is off the rail. So if I come too short, I still have a good angle to go down for my 7, but if I come too long, my only concern is I don't want to get behind that 9-ball. So, and really it's just a little pop shot. Just focus on making the ball. Almost, basically you're hitting a stun shot. The cue ball is going to be sliding when it hits the 5, and it's just going to float over the rail and just slightly off, probably about the same distance as the 6, but you don't want to be straight in because you're going to have a hard time getting on the 7. See if I can hit this right. Ooh, am I straight in? Almost. Yeah, yeah. Now I have a little bit of an angle. I'm actually gonna, you know, like I was saying, don't sacrifice the shot for shape. You know, with that side pocket there, my only thought that my concern, if you will, that I'm having, which it probably shouldn't be, I don't see myself getting that big of an angle. I really see the cue ball hitting probably about there to spin down. Looking at the shot, the first thing I thought was using high inside and spinning down table here and then up towards the 7. But again, why? Yeah, I mean, when you can just lay there right around the 10. And again, if you're a high probability shooter or you have a good chance of making those shots, which I think I am, with the 7 being where it is, even going down the rail, you're not going to have a problem making it. So when I get on the ball, I'm going to look at it and see what I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm actually going to use about a tip of high and maybe a quarter to a half a tip of left English on the ball. Make sure, and again, this is the English, this is the shot where I'm going to spin off this rail, go down table, hit to about where the first diamond is, and come out to the middle of the table and play my 7. I feel pretty comfortable. The cue ball is off the rail, and I'm hitting the ball pretty good, so I feel pretty comfortable that this shot is going to turn out the way I want. See what happens. Well, I spun the cue ball like I needed to. I just missed the 6. Let's see if I can hit that shot. And actually, I think the reason I missed that ball is because I was too anxious and I pulled the cue ball back too fast. I think I kind of stopped and then accelerated into the ball the right way, but when I paused, that cue came back way too quick. I need to slow that cue ball down, slow the cue down, and make sure I'm having a smooth follow through. Just like this. That's the shot. Now again, I kind of didn't come under the 10, but if you watch the mechanics worked out. I think I triggered the ball pretty well. Maybe I used a little bit too much outside English on the ball, but given for what it is, I'm still good probability of getting out. This, I'm just going to use a little bit of low, maybe a touch of right to help the 6 into the pocket, but not much. Almost like a stun shot, because all I want the cue ball to do is just pop right back out to to the middle of the table and play my 8 in the side pocket. Low, just a touch of outside English on the ball. And a little bit long. I'm just going to use high, maybe a touch of left. Come 1, 2, 3 rails around here to play my 9 in that corner pocket up there. Good. I'm straight in. I'm not. I mean, I'm all right. Actually, I have. Even if I was straight in, I mean, if there was an issue, I'd stop the ball. I have no problem. But I have a little bit of an angle that I can cheat the pocket, have the cue ball hit there, and then I can use a little bit of left English to kind of like straighten it back up off the rail a little bit. Because if I use high and a little bit of right, it's going to take this line. And again, as long as I'm in this area, I'll have no problem. So I'm going to see if I can shorten it up and come down table as much as I can. Too long. I mean, I'm all right to make the ball, but that's when you're playing those rails like that, that's the thing you're going to have to worry about, because yes, I'm kind of going towards the object ball, but really ideally, when you're playing shape, when you're playing 9 ball, really any ball that you're playing shape in, you want to be going down the shot line. This is the shot line of the 10 ball, so ideally, I would want the cue ball coming into this line and then down the shot line, because if this is ideal, and I'm long by a diamond, I end up there. If I'm short by a diamond, I end up there. But if I'm going against the shot line, if that's ideal, if I'm short by a diamond, I end up there. Long by a diamond, I end up there. 2 totally different scenarios, right? So when you're playing your shapes, always try to remember when you're going into your next ball, if you're playing more than 1 rail into your next ball, make sure that the last thing that you calculate in your mind is the spot on your final rail that the cue ball is going off of towards your target. You know, and a lot of times, really, all you can do is if you look at a shot and say, okay, that's my spot going into 10. All you've got to do is measure going to that spot, and you'll be fine. And like I said, once the proficiency level goes up in the game, then that'll be second nature for you. This, visualizing the shot line, got my contact point, got my aim line, and that's all I'm looking at. I'm actually use a touch outside English on the ball just to help it. Or maybe high, just about a quarter tip of outside English on the ball. Like that. I'll hit one more rack, and then we'll end the video. When you're starting a rack, look for your trouble spots, look for any issues you might have. You know, the 4 doesn't have a pocket. You know, I mean, you might be able to play the 7 because the 7's against the rail. Going from the 4 to the 5, even if you were good on the 4, going to the 5. You know, so kind of chart out your patterns. And if you're not going to run out, figure out exactly where you're going to play safe before you hit your first ball. If you do have clusters, you want to break out your clusters at least before you get to 1 ball before the cluster. In other words, if this 5-8 was frozen, I don't want to wait till I get to the 4 to try to break this 5 out. Ideally, I want to do it on the 1 if I can and still get a shot on the 2, but what happens is that maybe they'll say, oh, you know, I'm going to run to the 4, but then they run to the 4 and they go, oh, shoot, I got that 5 ball down there. Now they're brainstorming and say, okay, well, can I spin 3 rails? Can I this? Can I that? or they think, oh, well, I can't get out now, I gotta play safe. And it might work out for you, but again, having that pre-planning mentality when you're getting up at the table will do wonders for your game. Let's say I got that cluster. Let's chart this out here. Well, the 5 ball goes. So let's get it to where the 5 doesn't go. It's about there. All right. Let's see. Again, yes, you want to break out these clusters, but you don't want to take a chance of sacrificing not having a shot. You know, I'd much rather see, if you think there's no good chance of breaking out a cluster, I'd much rather see somebody get to the ball and play a locked up. If they know that they've got a locked up safe on them, or at least a good safe, making them kick out a ball, that's fine. I'm just giving you the principle of, or the fundamental of getting your clusters before you have to worry about it, which is the ball beforehand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually shoot the one in this corner. I'm going to float up, try to get about there. Then I'm going to play my 2 in the side and see if I can come into the 5. Now, a little bit of a concern there because, again, if I come in with too much speed, and if I have any spin on it, there's a chance I'm going to scratch. I shouldn't, because I'm going to try to come into it on this angle to pretty much leave the 5 there and then spin around to play my 3 next. So I'm going to use a little top English on the ball and float to between the 3rd and 2nd dime where the break spot is. To use the 2 to come out and break out this 5. A little too steep. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I can do that. And actually, I've got to use a little bit of low left because my tangent line, which is the line off of your contact point, your tangent line is going to be the line that the cue ball is going to take after it makes contact with any ball. So in this case, the tangent line is taking me right to the 9 ball. How do you figure out the tangent line? You go to your contact point, and you go straight against it to there. Yep, tangent line takes me to the back half of the 9 ball. So I'll use a little low touch of left English on the ball to try to keep me left of the 9, so that I can actually, I'm actually seeing myself hitting that 5 full in the face. Again, if I do, I'm going to make sure I hit it firm enough so that I'm not blocked by the 9-6 coming to the 3. So I'm going to hit it probably about a 7 or 6 pace with low left. Make sure you snap your wrist into that shot. Missed it. I hit the 5 ball, but I missed the shot. Goes to a fundamental that I was saying earlier. Don't sacrifice. And really, I think I missed it because my mind was solely focused on making contact with the right spot with the 5, and not so much making the 2. If you have what I would call a double objective shot, break your thought patterns into 2 phases before you get down on the ball. Because, okay, here's what I'll say. If you're shooting a ball and you're indecisive on if you want to get there or there on your next shot, and your next shot's down there, and you shoot that ball and you haven't completely made up your mind, chances are we're going to end up right smack in the middle where you don't want to be. So if you have a double objective shot, mentally break up those objectives. Make sure you've got the shot in your mind already completed, or the breakout or whatever you're doing already completed before you go to your shot. I actually personally would recommend whatever your second objective is, think of that first. Because once that's thought about and that's done and you realize what you've got to do that, now you can solely focus on making the ball or making the save, whatever the case may be, and your mind's not going back and forth when you're trying to hit that shot. All right. Well, I'm hitting the ball pretty good. I'm going to fire the 2 in the corner pocket, pull it back, play my 3 in the side pocket. I need some blue stuff for this one. Again, I'm going to just pop it back. Oh. Hey, I'm getting lucky. Means the pool gods are smiling down on me. Something like this. Ideally, I would want to be down here for the bank, and I could probably get it there on the draw. So I'm actually going to draw it off of the 5. Just going to push the 5 here and see if I can get off this rail enough to come down here and play my 4 ball here. Perfect. This might good. Double kiss. Another thing, a good drill to do when you're on your own and you're working on things is line up, actually particularly on the double kisses, line up intentional double kisses so you know which they are, or look up, and I forgot, I got to research this, how to measure if a ball is going to be a double kiss. I think on that 4 ball I should have probably used a little bit of inside English on the ball and cheated it off the first rail, and it probably would have gone straight in. But if I really thought that I couldn't make it because of the double kiss, I probably would have aimed it wide to this spot, which is about a half a ball outside the pocket, and banked it right back there. I did that in Reno on a guy, and he thought I got lucky. Kind of funny, actually. Wow, I spun my ball a lot. All right, get the music. Remember on that stroke fundamental, what I'm doing is you actually are able to slow the stroke down. You'll see that I'm trying to do it consistently on every shot, and I'm probably about 60% to do it if I'm hitting the ball well. Is when I do my practice strokes, actually if I overcut that ball, I'm pulling it back, and then my execution going forward, as I was saying earlier, starts off slowly and then accelerates into the shot. It's like this. Scratch him, I hit bad. There you go. All trigger. I was able to get that angle on that by triggering the ball. And what I mean by triggering the ball is your hand goes into a fist when you're hitting these shots. And what that does is that's going to enable you to have less arm movement, and your hand is actually what's going to make the shot. A fundamental that's a fundamental that I've been trying to have more consistently for I don't know, probably the last month or two. And how I visualize it, and when I'm showing people things, and and doing any kind of teaching, I say, imagine that your arm is delivering the cue to the ball, but your hand shoots the shot. Now this shot, I don't want to chance it I'm kind of straight in, I don't want to draw it. And I could probably hit a stop shot, but actually since I'm straight in, my tangent line using top English on the ball is there. So I'm actually going to use top English on the ball, and I'm going to come 1, 2, 3 rails out to the middle of the table for the 9 ball in the same pocket. I might actually come up a little short, but you get the idea. I'm coming 3 rails around. So. And again, you got to make sure you visualize the shot. Make sure you're again, this is a small muscle game. This game is not controlled by your bicep and by, you know what I mean, and everything like that. I mean, yes, it's working a little bit on the shots, but you're not supposed to let the big muscles do this. It's all loose. It's kind of like the golf game. You're supposed to have a loose grip, and you know, I mean, everything's supposed to be nice and soft. And by doing that, it's going to make it easier for you to hit these shots. You get the desired effect. Get the desired effect on your, on your shots when you do trigger the ball. Like I was saying, the arm delivers the cue to the ball, but your hand shoots the shot. It came up a little short, but it should be okay. I'm actually going to use a little bottom English and just spring it straight across. I could probably use top and come down. Actually, that's what I'll do. I'll use top English on the ball and I'll come out and play the 10 ball in that corner pocket. Good shot. Big bounce. Thank you. All right. For the US Open 10 ball championship. Nothing but net.